currently on the Air Force Base of Davis Monthan Air Force Base, and I wanted to go live here, but I thought that I could go live. It's forcing me to go live just up, down, instead of horizontal. So if you have any questions, I just finished recording, actually right here at this park bench, about the changes that I have noticed just recently in Tucson, Arizona, for the better. So stay tuned on that. There were things that my mind about, and my mind was set based off of some other videos that I made in the past. And it was just yesterday and today when I was driving around, I was like, wait, things have changed. Things aren't the way that they were before. So I just made a new video about that. So stay tuned. That'll probably come out in about 3 weeks. My editors are a little bit behind, maybe 4 weeks. But Tucson will still be in the same condition when that video comes out. But for the better, for sure. Currently here at Davis Monthan Air Force Base. If you have any questions about home buying in Tucson, if the buyer's market, seller's market, prices of properties here, that's what I'm making these lives for. Yeah. So let me know. But for now, I would say I spent a lot of time in Vail yesterday. I was driving around making some videos there for you guys. And some things have changed, some things haven't. But no, it looks pretty good. And went down to Sahuarita, was it Tuesday. Been all over. Been driving a lot within the last week. Getting some more in-person footage of the latest and greatest. So if you have any questions related to what Tucson, Arizona is like, the real estate market, the home buying process, that's what I do all day, every day. I went from being a special agent here on base. I'm at Davis Monthan right now, right next to the bowling alley where their mozzarella sticks were always frozen in the middle. But anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I went from being an Air Force officer to a special agent in the military to a real estate agent. So I took my negotiation skills there as a federal agent, and now I help home buyers get the best deal that they can get. And I love it. I love what I do compared to what I used to do. I mean, being a special agent sounds cool. There's a lot of bureaucracy that comes with that. And a lot of travel. I traveled 200 days out of the year for way too long. And now I don't. I don't have to travel anymore. So it's nice. And I do stuff that is a lot more chill, in my opinion, because I personally have purchased property a lot here in Tucson. So I put my money where my mouth is. And I think I'm very bullish on Tucson, especially with the recent changes that I've seen. Tucson has come around. Okay, we have a question. Brenna. Hey, Brenna. What time is it for you? Here it's 2:50 p.m. One day we'll stop the daylight savings, but I feel like every single year for the last 5 years I've heard that it's going to stop, and it hasn't. Yeah, so 15 people here on this live right now. Let me know if you have any questions. One, I'm curious, are you military? Do you plan on PCSing to Davis Monthan? Do you know what those words mean? Or do you plan on purchasing a property here in Tucson, Arizona? The recent changes, Ben, the biggest one that I had set my mind on was the homeless. And it was one of my most viral videos on this channel, was about the homeless or the unhoused. I don't want to be politically incorrect. There used to be a lot. So I first moved here to Tucson in 2018, and we had homeless, just kind of like any other city, maybe a little bit more than other cities of what I've been used to. Granted, I've lived in 25 cities, 15 states, 13 countries because of the military. So my experience varies. But then in 2020, when COVID hit, there were a ton more tents popping up on, especially like on like the major street when you would go arrive to Davis Monthan Air Force Base. It's called golf links. If you're here, I'm curious, Ben, are you in Tucson? So yeah, golf links used to be just like tent city, right? Like, so on your way to base, you would just see like all these tents with unhoused people and some animals. And I made a video about it. And then like after that in 2021, my mind was set on that. I was like, okay, Tucson has a ton of homeless people. And plus a lot of them would be on 4th and Congress, in the downtown areas by the bus stops. On the one and only interstate we have, I-10, at every single like exit going all the way north from Marana, all the way down to downtown Tucson. When you would get off of the exit, when there would be an underpass, there would always be at least 1 or 2 people asking for money, asking for food, asking for change, stuff like that. And it wasn't until 2 nights ago when I didn't finish my meal and I didn't want to throw it away, but I knew I wasn't going to eat it again because I didn't have a microwave. Whole story. I wanted to go find somebody to give my food to because it was a lot. It was like 8 wings. I only had like 2 or something. And I drove around for an hour and a half and I couldn't find a single homeless person. An hour and a half. I started all the way up north in Marana, so 40 minutes north, and took every single exit going all the way down to downtown Tucson. That's a lot of exits. Not one single person. They made some changes. Oh, this is what I didn't mention. I forgot to mention this in the video that's going to be coming out. So the changes in the underpass is that they now have every underpass lit up. There are a lot of lights. It's no longer dark. And instead of it being just like gravel, like what we have here, I don't know if you can see it. We just have like gravel, right? Where it's pretty easy to step on and stay on. They switched the gravel to huge rocks, like big ones where you're now uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable to stand on. So I think they did that as a deterrent from having people stay under underpasses. They did that at almost every single one of the underpasses. So that's on I-10. On downtown 4th Avenue, nobody was there. Like literally no one was there. You used to have to like, this is so sad to say, you used to pretty much have to step over people, like just walking on 4th Ave, going like shopping. Nobody was there. On Congress, bus stop, nobody was there. And it wasn't freezing. Like, I mean, it's right now. I'm actually sweating right now. I should probably just take this off. And golf links, not a single tent for homeless. So Tucson has cleaned up shop. And for a lot of like the comments that I used to get on that, I mean, I still am getting on that one video that kind of took off, I agreed with them. Well, I don't want to say them blanket statement, but we used to have a pretty big homeless problem. Of course, I cannot compare it to Oregon. I can't compare it to places that I haven't lived. And I don't know the solution, and what I do know is that they are people. So I want that to be very clear. It's not like I'm cold and heartless. They, like, everyone needs housing. But there used to be a ton, just like super, super visible in Tucson. And I don't know where they went. Trust me, I went looking. I ended up, that meal, the 8 wings that I had, I ended up throwing it away. And like made me so sad that I couldn't find anyone. I mean, sad but happy, right? Like I hope that they found housing, or if they were, pushed to somewhere else. I hope that they have food and at least somewhat of warm shelter. You're in Washington State. You lived in Phoenix for 10 years, considering returning to Tucson or Phoenix. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that that's what the mind shift was for me, where I was like looking for somebody to give my food to and I couldn't find anybody. That's where I was like, wait. And after that, that's when I was like, wait, the roads are like all now paved very nicely. And of course it's almost the holiday season, right? So like all the trees, all the palm trees have Christmas light or holiday lights and stuff like that. It just like looks so nice. And like just over the last 2 days, my opinion of Tucson has changed dramatically. I used to get a lot of hate on this channel for, not a lot, but some hate on this channel being like, oh, you're a real estate agent and you don't even like Tucson. I don't have to like a city. I was forced to move here when I was in the military, but chose to stay here, and I continue investing here because property. And yeah, so I would highly recommend. I mean, I don't work in Phoenix, so I don't really know like too much. Of course, as you know, Phoenix is significantly bigger than Tucson, but highly recommend checking out Tucson again with like a fresh set of eyes. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, especially if you haven't been here for the last 10 years. You're in for a big surprise. So yeah, let me know if you plan on purchasing in Tucson. Once you know between Phoenix or Tucson, let me know. Would love to work with you. But yeah, that was my biggest insight recently. That was crazy. It's night there. Are you on Eastern time zone? Yeah. So over the last couple of days, it's Tucson, like just like that. I can't snap with this hand. Just like that, my opinion of Tucson changed, which is crazy. But it's because I moved here in 2018. So how many years is that? It took a long time for me to change. Good. Oh, thank you, Ben. I appreciate hearing that you like my channel. Are there any topics that I don't cover that you would like me to cover? There are some topics that I can't talk about, which mainly are against RESPA or like would be a violation of real estate agents to talk about, which is steering. So I can't say, don't live here, don't live there, or you should live here. Because our opinions are different, and then everyone has internal biases and all that. So I can't talk about that. So that's why I make this channel like very, very as politically as correct as possible without steering, because my opinion of safe, your opinion of safe is going to be different. So I just try to like put just like facts out there. And the fact is, I didn't see a single homeless person in the streets of Tucson within this last whole week that I've like been looking. But yeah, if there's anything that you would like me to cover more of or updates on, let me know. I'm all ears, because I make this channel for you. Like I make no money from this channel. So I do this to help out, because I wish that I had a little bit more information when I moved here to Tucson as a military member. When I was buying, I was like, where do I move? I was asking my coworkers, but some of them were married, some of them have kids, some of them were bachelors, and some of them like had bougie taste, some of them didn't, and they were all giving me all sorts of different advice, and I was like, I don't know who to listen to. Plus, they were all new coworkers. I didn't even really know them yet. So I try to make this channel be as helpful as possible, so that way you can at least have the tools and the resources to further educate yourself. So yeah, thank you. Good afternoon and good night, I guess. Yeah, it's another calm day here at the Air Force Base. I feel like it's been a while since I feel like on the base here, man, at least once a month we'll have a lockdown because a kid will go missing. And then the whole base, like nobody can exit base, nobody can come back onto base until they find the missing kid. Maybe I jinxed myself right now. It's probably going to happen today. It's usually on Fridays too. Shh. Yeah, it's going to happen today. Yeah. But yeah. Anything else related to Tucson, Arizona, or real estate in general? If you're not looking to purchase in Tucson, then I'm surprised if YouTube pushes this video out. But I just met with my lender. We were talking about the different like programs and stuff for buyers, but honestly, the best loan is the VA loan, because you don't have to put anything down, and because you get a better interest rate than any other loan product there is. So nothing beats the VA loan. You can use it over and over and over and over and over again. I love it. I love it. A lot of fun fact too. A lot of people don't know this, but typically people wrongly assume that with the VA loan, you have to, and a lot of lenders are incorrect about this too. Not my lender that I prefer to work with, but when you close on a property, people wrongly assume that you're supposed to physically move in within 60 days after closing on that property. But the VA regs actually show otherwise. There are exceptions to everything, right? Like if you're in the military, you know that there's a waiver and exception for everything. But it literally says in the VA loan reg, which everyone has access to, you can just Google it, that you can wait, you can close on a house and you can wait to physically move in until it's a reasonable amount of time. So reasonable, very flexible, it depends on the underwriter or the lender, how lenient they want to be, and really depends on how solid does the lender believe that you're actually going to physically move to Tucson. Because the last thing the lender wants to do is lend you $600,000 on a house here in like Vail, Arizona, or the foothills of Arizona, and then have your orders change, but they've already paid, because then who's going to pay for the property? The last thing lenders want to do is hold on to a house. That's not what they're in the business for. They're in the business of making interest. So depends on how sure they are that you will actually end up moving to Tucson. But I have had clients close on a property and not move in until 4 months later. So mainly the clients that want to do that are those that come from overseas, like Japan, Korea, because they want to just make sure that they like get their R&R, they chill, they want to see their family, they want to see their friends, and they just want to buy a house and then just have it be there for when they actually end up making the physical move to Tucson. So that's a fun fact for you that a lot of people don't know. A lot of lenders in this business that say they specialize in the VA loan, they don't know that. A lot of new build construction, they don't know that. So that's the importance of just working with the right person, the right agent, looking at the regs. So yeah. But of course, the con with that is, say you do want to secure a house, like, well, one, you have to make sure that the unit is actually going to send you. For example, I was OSI. My orders changed all of that time. There was one time where I deployed and they told me to book my flight before I even had my orders. I didn't have my orders until I left Colorado. I was stationed in the Springs, and I was already at Maryland waiting for the actual rotator from BWI to Kuwait with the follow-on of Afghanistan. That's when I got my orders. I'm like, how am I leaving Colorado right now and I don't even have orders? But that's OSI for you. So you know your unit better. Your unit may be organized. Mine was not. It's funny. I'm actually having dinner with the OSI commander here tonight. Yeah, so you just want to make sure that that's one con. The other con is you may have double payment. So if you close on a house in, say, January, but you don't plan on moving in until April, you're going to have to pay those months of mortgage. So January mortgage, actually, I can go further into the weeds there, but say your first mortgage payment is January, February, March, April. It's going to be 4 months of overlap. And if you have that while also renting currently, or you're waiting to sell your other property, you just have to make sure that you're budgeting correctly. And that's what I'm here to help you with too. This is not free to do alone. So it's all a team effort. Me, my preferred lenders, we're best friends anyway. So we work very, very closely together, and that makes a big difference. Because if you're working with the wrong people, man, it can cost you not just money, but also mental energy. And that's the last thing you need when you're PCSing. Trust me, I PCSed 10 times in my 10 years in the military. Talk about fraud, waste, and abuse. But who's bitter? Not me. Anyway, what questions do you guys have? I've been babbling. I can just go. if you are interested in purchasing, well, not just like interested, not just like, oh yeah, I may want to purchase a property in Tucson. If you know you want to purchase a property in Tucson, at this time I can't really deal with like, I don't really have the time. I guess in a good way, I don't have the time to just be like, oh, I hope that you buy in Tucson. Like, no, once you know, let's work together. My demand is pretty high right now, so, which is nice. But yeah. I just looked up the numbers too the other day for Vail, Arizona. I think the median price is just shy. The median price is $399 for a 4-bed, 3-bath house. That's without a pool. If you want a pool, you're looking in the 500s in Vail. And I like pools. But they cost like a good $150 a month for upkeep if you're going to get a pool company. I prefer getting a pool company though. I thought that I was going to do it myself when I had my pool. We sold that house. But scrubbing those tiles, man, that is so annoying. And finding ground squirrels in the pool, snakes in the pool. What else did we find? Luckily, we found a couple of scorpions at the bottom there. You know, not for me. I will gladly pay $120. At the time, it was $120. Since then, it's increased. That's what you can expect there. Anyway, I mean, I know that there are 3 people on here, so if you have any questions, please chime in. Doing these for you. If not, I'm gonna go to the BX because they just added another restaurant here. The Pokey, the Hawaiian. So I'm gonna have another Hawaiian, even though I had that yesterday too. Oh man, who else got the flu? I'm getting over it though. I already tested negative, so don't worry. I'll give it a couple of minutes before I head out. Oh, here we go. Ben, how much should a first-time Tucson condo buyer in the Catalina foothills area realistically save for inspections and closing costs right now? You're not military, mad respect though. I appreciate that. Great question. So Catalina foothills for a condo. I want to look that up to give you an exact answer, but I would say typically condos in the foothills are going to go for the high 200s. Depends on how many bedrooms and bathrooms, right? But at least that way, the condos are going to have extra fees too because of the amenities and stuff. But even if you buy a single family, you're going to get extra fees because it's going to come with an HOA because Tucson loves their HOAs. But for inspections, so there are a lot of different types of inspections you can get. I'll go one by one. The general inspection is typically what people get. I could take it or leave it. I advise people if you want to be super safe, great, get it. Otherwise, you may just want to go directly with all of the other specific inspectors. So because what a general home inspector does is they check the general components of the house. And then if something is wrong, they will then say, hey, something's wrong with the AC. We suggest that you contact an AC technician. Something's kind of wrong with the roof. We suggest that you contact a roofing company. And so I tell my clients, you can either get all of it, or you can just go directly with the roofing company, go directly with the HVAC, with the electric, with the plumbing, get the sewer scope, get the pool if you have a pool in the backyard, and get, what else did I miss? The roof. Did I mention that? So the choice is yours. I'm no tax professional. I'm no CPA, but I take all of the costs of inspections off of my taxes at the end of the year. Not financial advice. And so the general home inspection for a condo they go by sizes. So that'll probably cost around $400. And I'm trying to be extra conservative. Like it may be $350, $400 for a single family, like a 2-story single family house, say 2,000 square feet. That's going to cost you like $600 just for the general. And then I suggest if you do get a general, you may as well also book the roof. Well, first of all, the roof is free.
So that's great, at least in Tucson. I cannot speak for Phoenix. Roofing. HVAC will cost about $150. Plumbing inspection will cost about $200. And if you want the additional sewer scope, which is literally where they put the camera and run through all the lines to make sure that nothing is detached, broken, corroded, clogged, that's usually an additional $200. So that's another $400 right there, plus the $150 for the HVAC, $550. So altogether around, we're looking at like $1,000 right now. And then electric, did I mention that already? Is about $150. So HVAC and electric each about $150. Pest/termite inspection, that'll cost about $100, maybe $125. And pool, if you have a pool in the backyard, that'll cost around $150 as well. So those are the major components. And that's everything. So altogether, you could be looking at $1,200-ish, $1,300-ish. Is it worth it? Yes, because you otherwise would just be going in kind of blind into a property that's $300,000, or in your case, maybe like $200,000. So maybe like $250, something like that. So that's inspections. Closing costs. Right now, it is a buyer's market. So back in the day, buyers were paying all of sellers' closing costs on top of adding an additional $50,000 to the purchase price. So, but right now it's a buyer's market. So, and what that means is you can pretty much get like between 3 to 5% off of the list price. That's what properties are selling at right now, about 4% off. And sellers are paying toward your closing costs. Not everything, but they're paying something. So that's what makes it a buyer's market, is that properties are selling for a little bit less. There's more inventory, like there are more houses available for buyers to choose from. Buyers can be a little bit more picky, but not all that picky. So closing costs, my buyers, I mainly work single families, but so the price point is typically higher, like $500,000. Closing costs is a percentage off of the purchase price. So if in your case, say the condo's $300, just for easy math, the closing costs that you would likely have to pay on like an average house where the seller tends to pay the buyer, or at least my buyers, at least $10,000-$12,000, that would probably mean like another $8,000 to $10,000 that you would be paying for closing costs. So being extra conservative, like $1,600 for the inspections, about $8,000 to $10,000 for closing costs. That does not include down payment. You said that you're not military, so you would have a down payment that you would have to add on to that as well. So you could do an FHA loan, which is one of the cheapest to get into. However, I'm not the biggest fan of an FHA loan. You can get in with 3.5% down payment, which sounds nice up front because it's the least amount of money out of pocket now, which if that's what it takes for you to get into a property now, by all means. The con with an FHA loan is because you're putting less than 20% down, you have something called PMI, or private mortgage insurance, or MIPs. They have like just different acronyms for it. Essentially, it's another fee because you didn't put all that much down. It's a fee that the lender takes every single month for the remainder of the 30 years because you didn't put that much skin in the game to begin with. So I always advise, without being a financial advisor, I always advise if you can pay 20% down, then do that. So that way you don't have to pay extra every single month just to go to the lender for saying, sorry, I didn't have enough in the beginning. But again, if that's what it takes for you to get into a property because you're tight on the budget, then get into a property like home ownership. Maybe not necessarily home ownership, but owning property is the biggest way to build wealth. And again, I want to be very clear that this is only advice that I give to FHA buyers. For military, I don't suggest putting anything down. That's that's the point of the VA loan. You don't have to put anything down, and you get a more favorable interest rate. So that's one option is the FHA. And you may already know this. Me, I'm just like talking to the crowd here. The other option that I personally would suggest that I would do myself, that I've done myself actually after I've tapped out of my entire VA loan, is just a normal conventional loan. You could do as little as 3% down, sometimes 5% down, and you will have a little bit more of the same thing, like the MIP or the mortgage insurance premium that you have to pay. But with a conventional loan, once you have 20% equity, then you can knock that off. You can call the bank only on a conventional loan, and you can say, hey, I have 20% equity right now, or you can call them and be like, hey, do I have 20% equity in yet? And they'll tell you yes or no. And then you can just shave that off and that'll save you like $200 a month, maybe $300 a month. I don't know. I obviously haven't run numbers. But that'll save you a couple hundred a month. That is not a phone call that you can make with an FHA because that is on there for life. And they made that change a couple of years ago, which and people still have I don't know, people still try to favor FHA. And I think that they maybe just haven't caught on yet or truly run the numbers long term. They just think now, like, oh, great, I can get in now for the least amount, not thinking about how much is this going to cost me over the next 30 years. And it costs them a lot. Another pro of conventional loans, actually, you know what? The one pro of conventional over VA loan is the ability to recast. Recasting a mortgage is different from refinancing. I personally am just not a fan of refinancing, especially if you've had the loan longer than 5, 6, 7 years. Like, you've already paid so much in interest. Why are you going to restart the whole thing and start over again? But recasting is when you can call the bank. You only can do this when you have a conventional loan. You can call your lender and you can say, I want to change the terms of my mortgage. No one else allows this. So for example, if you have, say you're 10 years into your 30-year loan, say on a $500,000 house, you've paid 10 years in $100,000, because that's how it works, and I can explain that after. So you have $100,000, so therefore the remaining debt is $400,000. You can recast the loan so that way your payment is lower. Say on that $500,000 house, say your mortgage was $2,800 a month. You can change the debt. So instead of, the original loan that you took out was $500, you can change it to $400 because you've already paid $100. And then therefore that mortgage of $2,800 could reduce. I don't know the math, of course, I don't have a calculator, but that'll save you a lot. Your monthly mortgage could go from $2,800 a month to $2,200 a month, saving you $600 a month. So that is the biggest pro of conventional loans that the VA loan does not allow. And I don't think that FHA loans allow that either. I really don't do too much FHA. I do VA loan primarily, conventional loan a little bit. But yeah, so, and then the reason of being 10 years into a 30-year loan and only having a little bit of equity is because a mortgage is compounding, meaning you're paying interest the first 21 years. Out of a 30-year loan, you only start paying primarily principal instead of interest 21 years into the 30-year loan. A lot of people don't know that. So a lot of people are like, oh, let's refinance. I'm like, it's like a seesaw. So think of it as a seesaw. Your first 21 years, you're paying primarily interest, like heavy on the interest, and barely nothing into your own principal, your own equity. So that's why I'm like, I would never refinance. I mean, of course, if I had like a 14% interest rate and then rates went down to 4, yeah, I'll refinance. But I'd rather recast or I don't know. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if that answered your question. I see that there are 4 people on here. If you have any other questions about Tucson home buying, the VA loan, what it's like here at Davis Monthan Air Force Base. What time is it? Oh, we're good. We're not close to taps yet. Good. Yeah, hope that helped. Yeah, there are a lot of different like nuances that people don't think about because it's not their job to think about, of course. So that's what we're here for, because there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah. What else can I help with? What other questions do you have related to Tucson, PCSing, Air Force? Well, not really Air Force in general, but like PCSing here. Buying a house, finding a lender, finding an agent. I try to educate my home buyer clients like as much as possible. Because when I first moved here, and when I was first buying properties, when I bought a property here, it was my second one. Yeah, I bought first in Colorado. And I was just like signing paperwork, right? Like they just like put paperwork in front of me. They're like, okay, here, sign this, sign this. I'm like, can I like take some time to read this? Can you send this to me the day before so I can read it? And I felt very rushed. I was just like praying that they weren't taking advantage of me. And looking back now, I'm like, bro, I could never imagine doing that with a client. Just being like, okay, sign this without explaining it to them. So that's what I do now with my business. Yeah. And I do a lot of transactions, not for nothing. I'm actually the top 1% of my entire brokerage of 90,000 agents. And I made that my second year. I work a lot. That's all I do is work. But I love it. I love it. After leaving the military and being able to run your own business, set your own rules, set your own hours, work with who you want to work with, as opposed to being forced to work with coworkers where you're like, damn, I could do so much more if you weren't here. Feels good. Okay, cool. Yes, Ben, thank you for participating, by the way. What are you seeing in terms of cash buyers versus finance buyers in Tucson? Is competition easing? On the buyer side, it's interesting because a lot of the cash buyers, actually, you know what? The cash buyers, they'll actually end up purchasing condos because they're investors and they're like a little bit of like smaller investors. My cash buyers are either purchasing condos to rent out. So in HOA communities where Airbnbs are still allowed or short-term rentals are still allowed, or they're purchasing like $700,000 houses, $800,000, $900,000 a mil to live in. So it's interesting that I don't see that many cash buyers in like the $400,000 to $500,000 range, which is great for my military clients because they're not cash buyers if they're still active duty. And but as far as competition, the biggest competition is in the $300,000 range. Anything between $300,000 and $399,000 and $999.99, that goes the fastest. Those sell the fastest, the shortest days on market. You have to make a decision rather quickly compared to the other houses. Days on market for condos, I can't tell you, but for single families, and I'm sure condos are probably a little bit more. Condos tend to lag. Actually, I don't know about condos. But for single families, right now they're taking between 40 to 70 days to go under contract, which is so long. So long. So it's interesting right now where we're in this like market where sellers still think it's 2020 and they can name whatever price they want. And buyers think that it's such a buyer's market that they can choose to like ask the sellers to paint a wall. You know, like we're never going to be in that market. No one will ever paint for you. They'll fix a broken fridge. They'll fix a leaky roof. They'll fix an HVAC that doesn't work, but no one's going to do anything cosmetic. But yeah, as far as competition, the $300,000, you gotta go fast. And then actually like the $1 million plus, you gotta go a little bit fast too because they're cash buyers. Not all of them, of course, but that's where the money is, which is so interesting. Either on like the lower side or the highest side of what we have here in Tucson. And then as far as how many offers per property, we're no longer seeing like 4 offers on the first day. With the median, or the days on market being like, say, 40 to 50 to 60 days on the market, we may see like 2 offers. There's always going to be a couple of like one offer that's an investment company, and they're just throwing offers and we know who they are in town. We're just like, okay, yeah, there's going to be another lowball. Just like, of course we have to present every single offer to the seller. But then the seller's always like, what the hell is this? I'm like, I told you this was coming. All the investor companies will just like throw numbers without even seeing the property. So I tell them like, hey, seller, this investment company placed an offer, $30,000 below the list price, without even viewing the property. I just want to let you know I have to give you the offer, and they're always like, tell them to F off. And so we just say, no, thanks. So that's why when listing agents, sometimes they'll be like, oh, we have another offer. Yeah, it's probably from, I don't want to name any companies, but it's probably from an investment company. And so, because if they did have any offers, then why aren't you under contract yet? But yeah, so 1 to 2 offers kind of is what we're seeing before you go under contract. Yeah, there's so many Chinooks right now. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Dang, I've been live for almost 45 minutes. Well, I think I'm gonna go to the hot tub. What should I do? Should I make another video? Let me know if this live helped. If you would like more of this. If there are any topics you'd like me to cover on long form videos, that would help me. That would help me help you. You're welcome, Ben. Thanks for asking questions. I hope that whatever you decide between Tucson and Phoenix, I mean, it's Arizona. You're gonna like it, as you know. You lived here. So wish you the best, Ben. Would love to work with you if you decide, and if and when you decide Tucson's a spot, hit me up. My calendar link is like everywhere on my channel. It's in bio. That's the only way to start the home buying process with me is you answer the questions. That way I can get a better sense of what you're looking for. Right now I know, but we'll talk a little bit more. We'll meet over Zoom, and I'll introduce you to my crew, and we'll take it from there. I pride myself in like educating as much as possible. So you're welcome. I hope you have a great day. If anyone else is PCSing to Davis Monthan Air Force Base right here, let me know. I am Allie, the agent, on the gram. I'll see you guys later. Oh, God.